New Yorkers for Clean Power, and you are at the April Power Hour for the Renewable Heat Now campaign. Thanks for joining at 6 o'clock. You might know that we usually have these at 7 o'clock, and this month we moved it to 6 to accommodate another event that's happening at 7 tonight. So for those of you who are maybe in National Grid's downstate territory, you might be doing back-to-back Zooms if you're doing the one right after this, and we'll tell you about it if you don't know about it. As we go on, please continue to introduce yourselves. It's great to see who's here. If you're able to, please share your name, your pronouns, location in the state, and your favorite coping strategy, because we're all looking for ways to cope in this world right now. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, Renewable Heat Now is a campaign to accelerate equitable building decarbonation throughout the state. What the heck is building decarbonation? That means that how we heat our buildings, heat our hot water, and cook our food, all needs to gradually change off of fossil fuels to renewable solutions. And so Renewable Heat Now has been a campaign made up of 20 or more groups. We've been a campaign for about 8 years. And what we've been doing is education, outreach, and advocacy around the strategies to move New York to decarbonize our buildings. And why would we be working so hard to do that? Next slide. Well, you might or might not know that buildings are the biggest source of greenhouse gas emissions in New York. That's because most buildings still burn fossil fuels for heating and cooking and hot water. And that not only creates emissions that go up into our atmosphere and warm our climate, but it also creates poor air quality indoors and outdoors from our buildings that affects our health and well-being. Luckily, there are some really fantastic solutions that make buildings healthier and more comfortable to live in. And we are advocating for more New Yorkers to have access to those solutions, both through policies that will make things more affordable and through education and outreach. So we already have all the tools we need, as this slide says, meaning we have all the technology exists to reduce emissions in our buildings and to power our heating, our cooking, and our hot water through green energy. And so that's what we're advocating for. It has real benefits for the future, for the climate, for future generations, but also for the people that live, work, and play in the buildings right now. And so that's why we think our campaign is so important and why we're working so hard and focusing on buildings. Next slide. So tonight our agenda is about Renewable Heat Now. I just did that. And then we're really going to focus mostly on what is happening with New York's climate law. It's also called the CLCPA, or the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. We are going to find out where we are with our other budget priorities that Renewable Heat Now has been fighting for. And most of the call is going to be taken up with advocacy opportunities, because we are in a fight for our life over the climate law and any climate action at all in New York right now. So we're going to give you lots of opportunities to take action right here on this call together with us, as well as upcoming events that you can participate in and that you can help us help create. So let's go to the next slide. All right, it's my great pleasure to introduce a wonderful colleague, friend, and ally, Liz Moran, who's the New York policy advocate at Earth Justice. And she spends her days and nights and weekends working in Albany, talking to lawmakers and making sure they're aware of all of the work that they need to be doing to keep our climate safe and healthy, and working closely with the Renewable Heat Now campaign. And so she is here to give us sort of an update of what the heck is going on in Albany. So take it away, Liz.
Awesome. Thanks, Lisa. And very nice to see you all tonight. Thank you all for everything you guys have been doing in this fight. I have to note, it's so funny to have that headshot of me on the slide before I come on looking like this. That headshot is like 7 years old. And I hope you all like my baseball cap. Um, so where we are. Uh, for those of you who have been working on our advocacy fights for a number of years, you won't be surprised that we're looking at another late budget. One of the governor's favorite things to do. So just to go over where we are in the legislative session, right? New York's legislative session runs from January through early June. And we have been doing work since before January to advocate on our issues. And of course, much of that work at this point has been to defend our state climate law. So, I won't recap everything, but you can see here the fantastic work that has been going on through this period. So, where we are right now. So, the budget is supposed to be due on April 1st. And earlier I want to say in late February or early March, the governor started to make very clear that she was looking at rolling back our climate law, and she introduced that through an op-ed. So to make it clear why that is so egregious in this process, so New York State budget process is notoriously secretive. It takes place largely behind closed doors. There's an old adage in Albany called 3 men in a room. And now the joke is it's no longer 3 men. But the optics stay the same. It's primarily the governor, the majority leader of the Senate, and the Speaker of the Assembly that are behind closed doors negotiating the budget. So the way this works is in January, the governor releases her executive budget proposal. So that's all public. The next public part of the process for the governor is her 30-day amendments. So that happens 30 days after she's introduced her executive budget proposal. Then there's, at the same time, different budget hearings going on. So that's another opportunity for the public to weigh in the budget process. And then by early March, the Assembly and the Senate put forward their proposed versions of the budget. So those are the most public parts of the budget process. And what the governor is trying to do with our climate law is shove in rollbacks to the law, but she's never put forward any proposed budget language regarding what she's looking to do. She's only outlined a high-level overview of what she's looking to roll back in an op-ed. So this is a very bad way of going about business that has significant impact on the public. So I just wanted to outline that so folks here understand the gravity of what the governor's trying to do. So at this point, the governor is doing something she likes to do, which is hold up the budget over the policies she wants. And her top things this year include rolling back the climate law. So where we are now, the budget is going to be heading on 2 weeks late. They have passed an extender. This is bills that the legislature and the governor agreed to keep the state open and active, so we don't have a government shutdown. And that's it while they keep negotiating the budget. So we don't know at this point when the budget will be done. And we're at the phase of the process where it's really hard to find out what's going on because everything is being negotiated behind closed doors. So now that we know where we are within this process, we'll go to the next slide. So what do we know about the budget process? And where are things, right? What's the governor doing? What are lawmakers doing? And, what are we doing? What do we need to do? So, as I've said, it's really hard to know where things are right now. And the only way we can get things is by trying to reach out to our different sources within the legislature. So, as far as we're aware, there hasn't been progress regarding the climate law. The governor has made her position clear, and the legislature has made their position clear. So the governor is looking for all these rollbacks, and at this point, the legislature is still saying, no, we didn't put this in our budgets. We're not looking to do that. So that's the key tension point. In the same vein, we have other budget asks within the Renewable Heat Now campaign. And it's really hard to know where those things are as well. What the governor will do in negotiating the budget is she will hold up the budget until her policy priorities are resolved, and then they can start talking about where money is going. So, to the extent that we are asking for additional funding or funding to go towards specific things, none of that is going to be negotiated until the governor and the legislature come to an agreement on her policy priorities. So we don't have too much in terms of updates there. So what is the governor doing, right? Why don't we go to the next slide to demonstrate that? So you can see in some of these headlines, the governor seems to be largely negotiating in the press about what should be happening to our climate law. So I won't exhaust everyone with the details here, right? But a lot of this stems from litigation that has been underway. So under our climate law, it says specifically that regulations must be promulgated by 2024. And in 2024, the governor's Department of Environmental Conservation was making progress towards regulations. Their chosen pathway was going to be implementing what's known as a cap and invest program, market mechanism that caps emissions and puts a price on pollution. That's a high-level summary of that. So they were engaging with stakeholders and designing a program to do that. And it was late, right? They were expecting regs to drop sometime in 2025, early 2025. So what ended up happening last year, early 2025, the governor suddenly announced that actually she was not going to be issuing regulations. She was going to be indefinitely delaying implementing regulations. So it was at that point that Earth Justice and our clients sued the governor for inaction on the climate law. Now, so far, we've actually been winning in the courts. The courts have said the governor needs to either issue regulations or, get the legislature to change the law. Well, the governor is looking to change the law via the legislature. So this litigation is ongoing. The governor has appealed. So that's what's currently underway. The case might be heard sometime later this month. But in the meantime, the governor is having a total meltdown over the litigation. And the stuff that she's trying to do would effectively gut the law. One of the big things she's trying to do is get herself out of having to do regulations entirely, for the most part. So she's using the constitutional power she has, which is far more than what the legislature has in the budget process, to basically force them to roll back the climate law. So you can see some of the headlines here about what's going on, right? The governor, unveils in the public, she's looking to defang the climate law. She's also doing a lot of work painting the climate law as basically dated, impractical, given the current federal administration. She's blamed the pandemic. She's blamed so many different things for why she simply can't take action and that the law must be changed. So it's been our job to point out we need the climate law. The climate law is actually a key tool for energy affordability, especially as we're facing this war, this awful, ugly war with Iran. The other piece that the governor has done here, which has been very insidious, is she had NYSERDA produce a memo to assert that the climate law would be far too costly to implement. She's done this. The memo asserts a specific cap and invest program that no one has ever asked for, no one has advocated for, nothing forces her to do, as a tactic to scare the legislature away from the climate law. So a lot of the work we need to do is, discredit this memo, educate lawmakers about what the litigation does and doesn't ask for, and why it's such a big deal that the governor is pulling this move to try to force the legislature to weaken a law that they passed simply because she wouldn't follow it. So, next slide. So as I said, one of the key things here is this law is an important tool in the political moment that we're in, right? We've already known for a while that it is, because we do have a federal administration that is just totally walking away, not just walking away from renewables, right? But entirely embracing the fossil fuel industry at the expense of everyone's wallets. Fossil fuels are obviously spurring the climate crisis that is impacting so many people's lives already, whether it's their health or, their homes, extreme weather events, so many costs already, right? But also our energy bills. Folks here probably have heard this before because we've done so much work on things like the NY Heat Act, but the gas system is what's been driving up our energy bills already. It's old, it's outdated, and we need a different system. And now we have a war that's jacking up gas prices even more. So the climate law is the tool we need to actually pursue cheaper energy and energy independence. So this was an excellent article that shows exactly what that is. So we need to keep doing that. We need to keep pushing out there that in the face of this war driving up energy costs, which were already too high, in the face of New Yorkers suffering from too high energy bills, 1 out of every 4 New Yorkers can't afford their energy bill. We need Albany to stand up for our climate law to lower energy costs and pursue real solutions there, not rolling back the law. So at this point, I'm going to turn it back to Lisa so she can talk about all the things we can do. And I'm going to also say again, the work that's been done so far has been absolutely amazing, and we've got to keep it up. It's a never say die moment until this budget is done.
Thank you so much, Liz. That was a lot of information, but if you couldn't follow it all, the takeaway is that this climate law we passed in 2019 is under threat. And this is what drives all our clean energy policy in New York is moving this law forward that says we have to reduce emissions. The governor basically is saying in the press she wants an extension, like she's asking for an extension on turning in her term paper, like I always did in college. But it's much worse than that. She doesn't really just want an extension. She actually wants to cut out the guts out of the whole law and basically weaken it forever and ever. And that is really when at the time when everyone in the world is running away from fossil fuels as quickly as possible, the New York's governor is saying, no, no, let's double down. More fossil fuels, please, for me and my people. So that is absolutely bonkers. So what have we done about it, and what are we gonna do about it? Because we don't know how much time this whole budget nonsense is going to continue. So we have to keep the pressure on. So many of you joined us and other allies in Albany on March 25th. It was an absolutely incredible day of advocacy, solidarity, and showing our people power. Here are just some of the photos. Here we are coming down the steps from the third floor terrace on the right and congregating on the $1 million staircase on the left. Next slide. Here's folks coming through the halls, walking from the Legislative Office Building or LOB over to the Capitol. Shout out to Assemblymember Matenis over there on the right, who's been one of our most stalwart allies through all of this. Next slide. And here's some great photos from the rally on the staircase with legislators, senators, assembly people, upstate, downstate, super lefty, and also some more middle of the road. We had a really great turnout from our legislative allies, and they spoke passionately and intelligently to this issue and the importance of it in this time. Um, and this is our upper left, our wonderful Senate Finance Chair, Liz Krueger, who unfortunately is recovering from a mild stroke. So, which is a real setback. And we're sending all our love out to Senator Krueger, who was the New York Heat sponsor and has been basically the biggest leader we have on climate, I would say, in all of the Senate. Okay. Sorry to share that bad news with you. Here's Liz, who you just heard from with a bunch of assembly members. I see Grace Lee, Mary Jane Shimsky, and a couple of others there with her. We had beautiful signs designed by Sane Energy Project, Be Strong, Defend the Climate Law, and lots of students and youth that came out that day. It was really spectacular. Shout out to NYPIRG for I think they brought those Save the CLCPA signs. Next slide. We also went and occupied the so-called war room. This is the sort of reception area outside the governor's suite of offices. And the people had all kinds of singing, chanting, and including legislators that came and spent time with us there as well. There was also a separate but parallel civil disobedience action, including some legislators who were risking arrest. They did not actually get arrested, but some of the advocates did, and made some good trouble at the event. And shout out to the folks that organized that powerful parallel action on the day. And there's, you see again, Assemblymember Matenas and Assemblymember Shrestha, who were two of those who really were there for all of it. They were in it to win it from beginning to the end. Next slide. Okay. So we had an amazing event. It got a lot of media. And now we want to keep the message going on social media. So we have an activity for you right now. There are 3 videos on Instagram, which what we want you to do is open up the link in the chat. If you have Instagram, go to the video, like it, and leave a comment. Just liking the video doesn't do as much as leaving a comment. We experimented with this last week by leaving comments on one of these videos. Oh, somebody. Um, and and a bunch of us left comments on one, and the video got so many more views, and the algorithm picked it up. So what we're going to ask you to do is open up those links that are being shared in the chat. If you need that link texted to your phone because you only have Instagram on your phone, put your number in the chat, and one of us will text the video link to you. So that you can comment it on your phone. And we're going to take a minute to do that. Sorry, folks, if you don't have Instagram, but we're going to just take a minute for this action and let people make comments. We hope you will comment on all 3 of the videos, and we will send a report around to let you know how many people saw the videos because of the extra comments. And when you've already commented, put a emoji in the chat so we know. I'm going to give you guys a minute now. Again, if you need these links texted to you or emailed to you or sent to you. Thank you, Leo. I see a thumbs up from Leo. Great. I see Adele. Thank you, Andra. Andra's gonna text you a link if you need one. Alan, thanks for the thumbs up. Awesome. I'll wait for 1 or 2 more. Oh, great, Adele. Thanks. Melissa Olivar, thank you. Commented and shared to all three to your story. Nicholas, well done. Gold star for Nicholas. Amazing. Okay, we can keep working on those. Let's move to the next slide, and we can send these links out in the follow-up email as well. So not only did we have this action in Albany on the 25th, but then on the 27th, we had two press conferences, one in Rochester and one in Tarrytown. Thanks to the Climate Solutions Accelerator and Mothers Out Front, who hosted those with their local legislators. Um, and not everyone can go to Albany, right? Rochester's pretty far away. So a whole bunch of folks turned out in Rochester 2 days later. And the same with those working moms. Most of them can't come to Albany during the day. So they had their own event after school with their kids. So there's lots of different ways to get involved. And speaking of moms, the climate parents had an incredible action the following Monday in Manhattan with this beautiful banner where they actually went all the way across one of the avenues in New York City. And if you watch and like and comment on their videos, the climate parents on social media, I dare you to watch those and not cry a little bit because they're very moving. And hats off to climate parents. So we have lots of partners in this work, lots of groups doing work all around the state. And that kind of stuff has to continue, especially if you can get it in the media. Um, all right. I know, Andrea, it was very heartrending. Okay. So um, I said earlier, how I said that Governor Hochul says she just needs more time. She just needs an extension on her term paper. Well, she doesn't that's not all she's asking for. She actually wants to change the way we do greenhouse gas accounting under New York's existing law. So currently we count the methane that leaks before you burn it. We count out of state emissions. We count that methane on the 20-year time scale, which is really when methane gas has such a powerful impact on the climate after it degrades after a while in the atmosphere, so it isn't quite as powerful over the long term. But we don't have a lot of time. All those you know about the climate crisis, we don't have time to waste. We don't have 100 years. We need to really slow down warming now. And she also wants to make biogenic methane, so maybe methane that comes from cow manure or burning, not just methane, but all biofuels like burning wood, burning manure, methane from trash. She wants to make that count as zero climate impact. So if you were to just mix some biogenic methane, for example, into the gas pipes and you were burning just the same amount of gas, they would be able to say in New York that they had reduced emissions by 20% if you put 20% of the uh, of the cow poop methane, for example, in there. So this is just, magical numbers. This doesn't actually change the physics of climate change and the warming that we're experiencing that's making our climate so unstable and dangerous. So we are really against these changes, and we delivered a letter to oh, thank you, Bill. We delivered a letter to legislators and to the governor's office last week, and there's a great memo that explains the three different kinds of greenhouse gas accounting that we do in New York and why each one is important, which we can share with you in the chat. Next slide, please. Next slide. There we go. Okay. So as Liz said, the budget is delayed. They came to Albany. The legislators are supposed to actually be off for 2 weeks now. They were not off. They had to go to Albany on Tuesday and vote to pass an extension until next Tuesday. So we don't know how long this budget process is going to take, but last year we didn't have a budget until May 9th, so it could take quite a bit longer. So meanwhile, we really have to keep our issue front of mind for the legislators and the governor. And one thing that is going to happen next week is it's looking like it's going to be a really big rally in Union Square in New York City. This was an event that was being organized by Green Faith, so there's going to be a lot of clergy there. There might be some people wearing their religious garb. There may be prayers. These are their signs on the left here. They're calling on the state to provide energy from heaven and not from hell, which I think is very clever. And they've generously allowed New York Renews, Renewable Heat Now, Food and Water Watch, Sane Energy Project, my organization, New Yorkers for Clean Power, and many others to join them and make this rally even bigger, because we were thinking of having a rally on the same day. So we're very excited to join forces and have a rally in Union Square, across from the Whole Foods. If you work in New York City, and you can get there on your lunch hour, it's timed perfectly for you at noon. So please sign up. There's a sign up link in the chat and join. You may have gotten a sign up link from Green Faith. You may have also got a separate sign up link from Food and Water Watch. It's all the same event. We just want to make sure that we know you're coming and we can send you any like updates or information. So please sign up and please go. If you're in New York City, maybe Long Island or Westchester, you could make it in too. I think it's going to be a really beautiful and moving event calling on our leaders to not turn their backs on the climate law. Next slide, please. Okay. If you want to learn more about the nitty gritty of what's going on with this climate law, all the things about cap and invest, all the things about the greenhouse gas accounting, if you are that kind of nerd like I am and many of us are, we have the teach-in for you next week, also on the same day, same time. So if you're in New York City, you might have to choose one, but everyone else, if you're not in New York City, you can come to the teach-in. Also, it will be recorded. So if you are going to the action, but you want to learn all this stuff, you can hear from Liz Moran, who you just heard from today, from Earth Justice, Eric Walker of We Act, and Laura Height, who is the author of the wonderful Greenhouse Gas Accounting Memo. And they're going to really get into the dirty details, much more detail than we have time to do on this call. And that's a whole week from now. So you'll get any latest updates on what's happening with these budget negotiations on that Zoom, because things are changing every day. So sign up for that, even if you can't go, if you just want the recording and the next steps sent, emailed to you. Hope you'll join us. One of the budget priorities that is a little bit in limbo is the so-called ASAP Act, the Accelerate Solar for Affordable Power Act, that a lot of organizations are very excited about. This is a great bill, a very common sense bill. It saves lots of money for people. It expands solar in New York, and it's really good for creating jobs. It's just a win-win-win. We really want this bill to pass in the budget, but if it doesn't, we'll have to fight for it after the budget. And we have a take action here for you to do, to send an email about the ASAP Act to your legislators. And I would love for you to save the date on your calendar right now for a lobby day for the ASAP Act in Albany on Wednesday, May 6th. The solar industry is used to not having a lot of grassroots advocates at their lobby days. They just have like solar industry professionals. And this year, I think we're going to bring the advocates. So we're going to bring young people, older people. Third Act is very excited about this. 350 is excited about this. Renewable Heat Now is excited about this. So if you're available and you can take the day to come to Albany on Wednesday, May 6th. We hope that you will. I don't have a sign up for that yet, but we'll send an invite to everybody who takes the action, and then you can sign up at that time. I think there will be at least a New York City bus, if not more. But we're really hoping to pass this important bill this year. Hopefully there'll be at least some silver lining with all this climate rollback rigmarole that we're fighting so hard for. Okay, next slide. All right, we have a grassroots action that we're so excited to share with you guys tonight. We're going to be doing this with New York Renews, with Food and Water Watch. Anybody can do it. And what it is remember how I said the legislators are supposed to be at home in their districts? They're not in Albany right now. This is a great time for you to take your kids or your mom or your neighbor or your best friend over to your legislator's district office and drop in and say hi and say, are you supporting the Climate Act? And say, will you take a picture with us if you are? And then post that picture on social media and tag the governor and the legislator. And this is a way to make some buzz during this sort of quiet time when legislators are in district. So we have a whole toolkit and we have a goal of at least 100 legislator offices being visited around the state. If, like me, your legislator is a member of the minority party, in other words, a Republican, unfortunately, this fun and exciting activity is really not a good one for you. We're really trying to not engage Republicans around this fight. This is a Democratic fight. We are the Democrats are the majority, and they have all the power in this negotiation. The Republicans have none. But probably most of you, unlike me, live where you are represented by at least a Democratic senator or assembly person, and you could do this action. And you could do two because you have a senator and you have an assembly person. Um, so there is a toolkit being shared and a sign up to do this. This photo is from, again, another shout out to Climate Families in New York when we did drop in legislator office drop ins with the New York Heat Act. Some Climate Families folks dropped by with their kids and the mom and the grandma and took this picture. We hope that the legislators will actually take a picture with you, but if not, you can just be outside their office and take a picture and post it on social media. So I'm not going to go into all the details of the toolkit, but basically, what is the time frame for this? It can start tomorrow. It can be any day next week. The following week, legislators will be back in Albany on Monday. So we're trying to get 100 office visits in the next 6 business days, basically tomorrow and Monday through Friday of next week. Which isn't to say, if you want to do it the following week for Earth Day, feel free. You know that your legislator is not going to be there, but that's okay. You could still drop by the office. But time is of the essence, so this is an activity that we're recommending for people to do. If you live in the Albany area or the Capital District, you might wonder where your legislator's district office is. For some reason, those legislators don't have a district office. You just have to go to their office in the at the Capitol or the LOB. They don't maintain district offices, unfortunately, outside of there. So it's a little less fun, but still doable. So if you're represented by Pat Fahey or Phil Steck or John McDonald, they might not have an office for you to visit except right in the Capitol building or the LOB. If you have any questions about this or need help or support or can't follow the toolkit, please feel free to reach out. There's some emails in there to reach out for help to Emily Skydell of Food and Water Watch or to Jen from New Yorkers for Clean Power. We can maybe, and I think New York Renews is also going to add their information. So let's make this big and powerful. And remember, the drop by itself is great. But if it's not posted on social media, only you know you did it. If it's posted on social media, the whole world knows you did it, and we can start to boost that post and get that out there. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. Something else that's been going on is a few legislators have taken it upon themselves to make these little videos at gas stations showing how high the price of gas is now and saying, hey, it doesn't make sense to double down on fossil fuels during an global energy crisis. This, as Liz mentioned, the war is horrific, and it's driving up energy prices all over the world. And all over the world, countries are scrambling to figure out how they could get off fossil fuels as quickly as possible, outpacing us in electric vehicles, outpacing us in heat pumps, outpacing us in solar and wind. And here in New York, we're saying, no, no, we want to stay on these fossil fuels, even as the prices skyrocket. And as the market experts in fossil fuels are telling us, these prices aren't going to come down, no matter what happens in Iran and the Strait of Hormuz. They're going up. Gasoline and natural gas are going to be up for the foreseeable future and continue to climb. We would love more of these videos to be made, and we have a action toolkit that you could use to reach out to your own legislator if you have a strong relationship with them. This isn't really an action I'd recommend if you don't know your legislator, but if you do know your legislator, I'd recommend that you work with us to do this outreach and make a video with them. You can be in the video, you can help them film, you can you could get a group of their constituents to stand behind them and make these videos. We would also are going to post the links in the chat for these videos and ask you to like and comment on those. And I think they're probably already posted. And maybe you already did that, but I'm going to take a second to let you guys comment and like and share these videos. Are these all Instagram or are some of these Facebook?
So all are on Instagram. One is on Twitter, and I did not have time to look for Facebook today, but you can.
All right, great. And also shout out to these four legislators. This is Assemblymember Kellis in the red, Assemblymember Joanne Simon in the with the sunglasses, and Senator I forgot the senator's name with Joanne Simon. With somebody help me out. And on the left is I know she does. And on the left is Assemblymember Diana, yes, Senator Prasad, thank you. And on the left is Assemblymember Moreno, who I believe is pretty new to the Assembly. So good for her. Getting out there and being a champion for a law she didn't even have to work to pass. So we're so proud of our champions, and we need more of them to go very public with this. So we're really excited that they did that. That's right, Anshul, Mandani's replacement. So she's brand new, and which maybe even a special election, right? Oh, lucky you, Nicholas. That's great. Well, you should comment on her video and say, "Hey, I'm a constituent, and I'm so proud to be your constituent. Thank you for fighting for us." And put that in there. She'll be you'll make her so happy. So she's out there loud and proud on the climate law. We hopefully in the next week you'll see a lot more of these videos populating social media. I don't remember if Liz said this when we asked what is the governor doing, but one of the things that the governor is doing is actually when we were there in Albany on March 25th, she was barnstorming the state, holding press conferences of her own, trying to get support for her budget proposals. And she went to Rochester and Buffalo and was it Syracuse? She went to 3 cities on that day. She went to Binghamton on another day. And she's trying to get all the local elected officials, those county, town, and village level officials and city level to stand with her and show support. She really cares what local electeds think. And so we have a letter for local electeds to say, hold the line on the climate law. And we're trying to get over 100 electeds to sign on this week. So this is a letter for your local elected official, your county legislator, your town board member, your village trustee. Do not sign this letter yourself. We will have to take you off. This is only for people who are currently holding elected office at the local level. And we are really hoping that this letter will end up with them holding a press conference, telling the legislature and Kathy Hochul that they don't want any changes to the climate law. And the climate law is beneficial for them and their constituents. The Cap and Invest program will send money to these municipalities that they need for climate measures, like things like flood control and all kinds of important things, so that they create jobs, et cetera. So our local electeds are not only with Governor Hochul, that many of them are with us, and we are going to engage them through this letter signing campaign. So please, if you would share that with your local elected officials who you think might sign it. And let's see if we can get over 100. I really secretly have the goal of 200, but let's try for 100 first. Thanks, Sandra. Okay. How are we doing on time? Okay, we're all right. So we have a couple of quick email actions for you to take right now if you haven't done so already. The first one is sending to your legislators and Governor Hochul a little email that says defend the climate law and also pass Renewable Heat Now's budget priorities like money for the GAP fund and Empower. So please sign that and send it along. On that tool, you will find if you are represented by minority party members, they won't show up. Only the majority party members will show up in the tool. We had the others removed. So when I send that one, it only goes to the governor because I'm only represented by members of the minority party. And they don't give a fig about the climate law or any of the things we're doing, and they have no power. So I don't need to talk to them about that. We also have another attack on the climate law happening at the Public Service Commission. And we have a comment tool here for you to send a comment about that to the Public Service Commission. That's specifically not the whole climate law. It's about specific things on the electric sector. You can read about it. I'm not going to explain the whole thing, but that comment period was till March 30th, but it got extended until May 1st. So that gives us more time to get more of our comments in to the Public Service Commission, who, we often focus on the legislature, but the Public Service Commission actually controls a lot of how our energy decisions are made. And so they're a really important body in moving our climate goals forward. Okay. So take a minute to send those 2 emails. Links in the chat again. Okay, Mark's going to do it after the call. And Andra's going to text Mark after the call, maybe. Okay. Okay, so we had a lot of actions for you to take tonight. We had an email action for the ASAP Act and also save the date, May 6th, on your calendar and make a plan to be in Albany that day. And look out for an email from me to sign up for that. Sign up for our next Power Hour, May 7th. Will we have a budget by then? Will we have an answer on how the budget negotiations went, what we won, what we lost? Maybe we'll be celebrating together. Maybe we'll be crying together. Maybe it'll be a mix of both. Or maybe there still won't be a budget deal and we'll be doing last minute advocacy. Maybe we'll all spend the whole hour making calls. Who knows what we'll do on May 7th? It's so long from now, but please sign up to find out. So we have tools to email about the climate law and the budget asks, a tool to email the Public Service Commission or PSC. We have a really fun action and help us get to 100 office visits. And if you're interested in coming to Albany for mini lobby days, please email me. This is something for people who are experienced at coming to Albany and don't need a ton of hand-holding. So not good if it's your first time, but if you've been to Albany a couple times before and you know your way around the building a little bit, let me know if you want to come and join us for lobby day. It's pretty casual. We meet at the Dunkin' Donuts, we make a little plan, and off we go. And we have to sort of keep being there because this whole time the negotiations are going on. We cannot let up. We need to keep everybody aware that this is the top issue for so many thousands and thousands of New Yorkers who want to preserve a livable and safe climate for themselves and future generations. So is that all we have? Is that the last slide?
Yes, that's the end.
That's the end. Well, thank you all so much for coming tonight. Thank you for spending an hour with us here at Renewable Heat Now. We hope to see you online. We hope to see you in the streets. We hope to see you in Union Square. We hope to see you at the teach-in. We hope to see you in Albany. And we hope to see you on social media. For better or for worse, that's one of the ways we can connect and see what everybody's doing and make a ruckus. So I'm going to thank you all for coming. Have a lovely evening. Oh, one last thing. If you are in National Grid downstate territory for gas in Brooklyn or Long Island, we do have a power hour happening now at 7, and the link to that is in the chat, or is going to be in the chat. And yes, we're going to send the recording and follow-up email, and I'm going to stop the recording now. Stop.